Okay, so in this example, we're going to show you how to handle a situation where you got interfaces, or you got mesh instances, so up-down type instances. You expect them to happen. So the common example will be something like flapping interfaces. But if it happens at a certain frequency, then you want to get told about it. So we'd use a combination of things to achieve this. The first thing we do is we switch on dampening. So in our example, we had two instances. So we got a server up incident and we got a server down. So I'm just going to put a filter on this to make it easy for me to find them. So I'm just going to say that it starts with M. Okay, so first thing we do is we put a dampening on the server down message. So click on dampening, enable it, and I'm going to put a dampening on that of a minute. Save and close. Okay, and then to see the effect the dampening has, I'm going to run that particular incident again. Just get rid of that. So I'm going to run the 5347 incident, and then when I go to incident browsing, NNMi traps, okay, these are the ones we had previously, so I'm just going to delete these to make it easier to follow. You can see it's not there. So to see it, if we go to inventory nodes, we bring up router 1, and then if we click on incidents, I may have missed it because we did just put a window on it. There you can see that the life cycle state for that particular trap is currently dampened, and it'll stay in that state for the 2 minutes that I specified before it's allowed to come into the alarm browser. Okay, so that's the first part of the operation, and then the second part of the operation is the fact that we did the pairwise. So just to remind ourselves, we had configuration, pairwise configuration, so it's that one there. So we have specified that we want to pairwise these two together. Our server up, server down. So what should happen is if I don't send in the up message, then eventually, let's just see if it's done it yet. There you go. So after the dampening period, the trap was allowed to come in. So I'll just delete that. And then we'll just try the same operation again. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in the 7, which is the down. I'm going to wait a few seconds. And then I'm going to send in the up. So again, if we go back to so now they've both been closed. The other thing I can do with the correlation is if I decided I want to see these messages, then because obviously these have been closed, so in the active, which operators are looking at the active incident browsers, they wouldn't appear in them. But if you want to remove them from the system altogether, then what you can do with the pairwise configurations is you've got a delete option you can specify. So people have different attitudes to this. Some people like to keep them for reporting purposes. Other people may say, well, actually, I don't really need to see them. So you can hit the delete option here. So doing that then, say what happens is when the pairwise occurs, they'll both disappear. Now the second part of the operation, so I'll just leave it off for the time being just for demonstration purposes. The next thing I want to do is, that's fine. So basically if we have a break trap coming in, and then in our case we said we dampen it for 2 minutes, then if the up message comes in within that time frame, then we get them to cancel each other out or close each other off. However, we may want to know if that's happening at a certain frequency. So the next thing we're going to look at is how we do rate correlations with it. So rate correlations, what you basically do is you create a management incident that will be generated when the rate is breached. And that's what I'm just going to walk you through now. So to do that, we go to configuration instances. Now this one I need to create as a management event. Now there is a built-in one already, but I'm just going to create my own for demonstration purposes. So go new. So I'm going to say here that I'm just going to call it MS rate incident. Okay, I'm going to give it a category of fault. I'll give it the family of Microsoft. A severity of, this time I'll go for major. And then in the message I'm just going to say flapping rate has been exceeded. Okay, so that's fine. Next thing we want to do is we now want to, okay, I think that looks good. I think that's what I put in there. So severity, right, so we save that. So save and close. Okay, and what we then do is we go back to, well, we can do it in either trap. We can either do it on the server up, the server down trap. I suppose it's more logical to do it on the server up trap. So we can go to the server up trap, sorry, the server down trap. So I go to SNMP trap configurations, server down, and this time I click on rate, enable. So what I want to do is I want to say that if I get, say, 5 of them in a 5-minute window, we put a 6-minute window there just for clarity, then I want to generate so we call it my MS rate incident. There we go. Now with rates, you can specify again. So for example, if this was things like a link up or a link down type trap, it's not just enough to compare the fact that the trap came from a particular machine, but also that it may have certain varbind values. So to decide the two traps should be put together for the purposes of a rate calculation, if you click the drop down, these are your options. So you've got the name of the trap, you've got the source node source object, so name, CIA, so this is where I can match it. I can say that the traps get put together if they have the same varbind values. So where that could be useful is for things like OSPF type traps. So normally when there's a problem in an OSPF area, a particular OSPF trap will be generated by multiple sources. So in that case I may want to put it together. Okay, Brian, you shall see what shall happen. It's interesting. Okay, so basically, the where the rates come in, if they come from different machines, you might decide that you want to put them together as long as they've got certain var-bind values the same. You can go for name source node, which is the one I'm going to go for. So we only put them together if they've come from the same system. And then the other option is source object, source name, or a combination of var-bind values. So the one I'm going to go for here is name source node. Okay, save and close. So an interesting thing is we'll see what's going to happen here. Okay, so let me send in. Okay, let's put that down. Okay, so let me send in a few of these. So I'll just send in these on their own initially, and we'll see what happens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stop the recorder.